Hi everyone, it's the Sandman just checking in with you for another video. So I wanted to discuss an interesting point which some people have asked me about, and that is the differences between contract security and in-house security. So most of you probably know there's a lot of contract security companies out there nowadays, and there's a lot of big names out there. You have Securitas, G4S, which is now part of Allied Universal. You have other companies that are more regionally focused, and you have companies that are more local. Like, for example, Lieutenant Hall has his own security company that he just started recently. He has a great YouTube channel where he talks about security as well. So you have a variety of contract security companies out there, and you also have in-house security. What do I mean by in-house security? I mean security officers who work directly for an organization. So in my experience, I've worked for both contract security companies as well as in-house security departments, and I found that there are three big differences that I can boil them down to in this video. The first one is pay and benefits. So what I found is the pay tends to be a lot better when you work in-house. Contract security companies, they charge a markup, so they have to pay their expenses. They have to cover the cost of patrol vehicles, the cost of uniforms, the cost of insurance, and licensing, depending on the state. You know, they might have to do security guard licensing. So they have all those overhead expenses, so they need to cover that overhead somehow, and they charge a markup to their clients. So who tends to suffer in that arrangement? It tends to be the security officers. The officers tend to get lower wages because their companies need to make up for the costs of their overhead. So that's a big part of it. The other part is the benefits. It's very similar because the contract security companies have an overhead that they have to pay. They typically don't have very good benefits, and that's one of the biggest complaints I've heard from people who work for contract security companies. They say that the companies don't provide very good benefits. The health insurance is very expensive. They may not even provide vision or dental insurance. They may not provide any sort of 401k plan, anything like that. So whereas when you go work in-house with a security department that works directly for an organization, you tend to get better benefits. For example, if you go work at a college or a hospital, colleges and hospitals tend to be more focused on in-house security departments as opposed to contracted security. And so they tend to have much better benefits. For example, if you go work at a college or a hospital, you might get 3 weeks of vacation to start, on top of excellent healthcare benefits and excellent vision and dental insurance, and you probably will have a great 401k plan as well. So going in-house seems to be much more preferable if you're looking for better pay and benefits. Now obviously there's a downside to that too, because hospital security tends to be much higher risk. With hospital security, you tend to have to fight combative patients, for example. So that might be something to consider when you're thinking about, okay, do I want to go work in-house at a hospital, or would I rather take less of a risk and go work for a contracted security company and just watch a parking lot or a factory, you know, something that's going to be less risk. The next point is training. So that's where I've seen another huge difference between contract security and in-house security. Training tends to be much more lax with contract security companies. I'm not saying that across the board. I know there are some very good contract security companies out there who really focus on training and having high quality officers, but many contract security companies are just looking for a body to fill a slot. Basically, they just want somebody to work at a post and cover that post, and they'll give them minimal to no training. They might just stick them on the site and have them read the post orders instead of actually having them go through some sort of training curriculum. Others might give a security guard or officer a few hours of training. They might give them, 4 hours, basically half a shift. They might give them 8 hours or a few days of training. But I don't think that's really enough. I think you really need more solid training. In my experience with in-house security, they tend to have much more robust security training programs. If you go and work for example, we'll just keep using that same example of a hospital or a college, you tend to have an FTO, a field training officer that you work with. And that person trains you for most likely weeks, at least 2 weeks or more. So that way you get a solid foundation in that department. So training is another huge focal point, and I definitely recommend enhanced training, as you can tell from my other videos. I think that's really what separates a security guard from a security officer. An officer has much more training and is much more professional. And the third point is really loyalty. So I found that contract security guards or officers don't tend to be as loyal to the security company or to the client, because they can't really tell who they should be loyal to. The security company often doesn't have a very strong presence where they work. They might be working at a site where they're the only guard or officer on a shift. They don't see anybody except for maybe shift change, sometimes not even shift change. They might just work an overnight shift where they don't see anybody. That might be the only shift at that site. So they don't really have a strong relationship with their contract security company other than just receiving a paycheck from them. And their loyalty isn't really to the client because they don't work directly for the client. They work for the contract security company. That's who writes their paychecks. So it really is important for the loyalty of the officer to have a relationship with the person that they report to, basically. So I've seen that in-house, when you work in-house, you tend to have much better loyalty. You have a stronger sense of loyalty to your organization because you work directly for them. And I think that's really important. It's really important to have that sense of purpose and knowing that you're serving your organization directly. You're not working for a third party. So that's a huge difference. Now, the other caveat I have to throw in is that sometimes security departments within an in-house organization can fall under a flawed reporting structure, if you will. Basically, security should be reporting directly to the upper level management, but in some organizations that I've encountered, security reports to maintenance, and then that tends to be problematic because security should not really be a maintenance department. It should be its own standalone department because it's an important function. So what I've seen in the past is sometimes when security reports to maintenance expects security to go around and plunge toilets or change light bulbs, shovel snow, do those non-security functions that really take away from the overall purpose of security, which is to protect people and property. So I've seen that as a potential issue that comes up with in-house security departments. So I hope that this video has helped to clarify the primary differences between contract security and in-house security. I know that there are advantages and disadvantages to each one. I hope that by boiling it down to just the top 3 points, I've been able to shed some light on this topic for you. I hope that we've been able to discuss it and actually gain some knowledge. So let me know what you think. What have you seen in your experience about the differences between contract security and in-house security? What do you think? Do you think one is better than the other? Or do you think that they each have their strengths? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. I love the conversations that go on in the comment section. Also, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I enjoy discussing security related topics with all of you, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you everybody for watching, and stay safe.